Kia ora everyone and welcome to Weekender at 5, where we bring you the latest news, views and reviews of the day. My name is Preeti Garude and I'm your host for tonight. Let's look at the main headlines of the day. There are 71 new cases in the community today, with numbers expected to double in the next 14 days. Deputy Prime Minister Grant Robertson said officials expected cases in Auckland to rise, but that they are rising quickly. He blamed people gathering in people's houses for the rise in cases and urged everyone to follow Alert Level 3 rules. He stressed that Alert Level 3 was suitable for managing the outbreak when asked about the prospect of Alert Level 4. Health Minister Andrew Little says the hospital system is preparing to handle COVID-19 cases, along with progress in home isolation and therapeutic medicines. As international borders reopen with COVID situation easing in India, studying abroad is set to grow in the coming years. And according to new forecast, over 18 lakh Indian students are set to opt for foreign colleges and universities by 2024. While the sector faced a stunted growth in 2021 as international borders were closed to combat COVID, it is now expected to regain momentum as things become normal, according to a report by Bengaluru-based market research firm RedCL. In Bollywood, the Aryan Khan drug saga continues as a bail hearing is set in Mumbai High Court today. Aryan Khan, son of Bollywood superstar Shah Rukh Khan, was arrested along with his friend Arbaz Merchant and 6 others after a drug raid on their cruise on October 2nd. In sports, the Indian cricket team revealed their new team jersey ahead of the T20 World Cup set to start next week. Inspired by the cheers of a billion voices, the new kit is called the Billion Cheers jersey, which replaces the 1992 World Cup pattern-like jersey the team has been donning since the late 2020. And now turning towards this week's focus story. A pandemic may not appear to be the most auspicious time to start a business. However, there are so many people out there who are using this time to pause, reflect and act on long ignored business ideas. Reserve Bank of New Zealand data revealed that a number of self-employed and employers are up by 0.65% since COVID first hit the economy in early 2020. The number of new business listings on New Zealand companies registered is up by 20% in May 2020 compared to the same time last year. Figures show that many more women are now working for themselves, becoming contractors, freelancers, or sole traders. It seems despite the general sense of gloom, many female entrepreneurs are seeing opportunities during the pandemic. We speak to one such Indian entrepreneur who launched her business after observing a gap in the market. Started in October last year, Dolly Mama has set out to address an issue that particularly bothers most Indian migrants in New Zealand. Tired of rolling her eyes as every Indian curry gets labelled butter chicken, Pernes Patel, Chief Eating Officer Dolly Mama, is on a mission to educate Kiwis about the versatility of Indian flavours and the ease with which they can make Indian food. Pernes, welcome to the show.
Hi Preeti, how are you doing?
I'm very well. Kia ora, person. Welcome to Weekend at 5 and thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, person, you're a woman on a mission to educate Kiwis that there's more to Indian food than butter chicken through your business, Dolly Mama. And I absolutely love this concept. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to sort of invite you to come to the show and talk to us about it. I mean, there have been so many times where, people have, that we've wanted people to sort of move beyond butter chicken and talk about the other different Indian cuisines that are out there. I know that there are many people out there who'd be kind of rolling their eyes when they hear that, when they hear words like ghee butter or chai tea or even turmeric latte for that matter. So, Person, what I wanted to ask you about is that, let's talk about this big realization that you've had taken from this frustration that many of us have felt, which you've then sort of developed in your idea with Dolly Mama. So let's let's have a chat about Dolly Mama. Can you give me a bit of a brief how it developed and where did it come from?
Sure. So my story basically starts as as an Indian who basically moved to New Zealand back when I was 15. And it was just me and my mom who had moved here. Um, I was new to school, and in fact, that was like my first time going to like a co-ed school. And I thought, so mom would pack me like a normal dabba. So she'd give me like, some either like aloo bhaji or it would be like dal rice because I used to hate eating sandwiches. And, I'd always be standing in that queue to like the microwave. And most often than not, every day there would be, someone who would also be in the queue, and they would just come up and say like, oh, what's that, butter chicken? Oh, is it like curry? And this used to really kind of annoy me, but also there was that need at that time when you're like 15, 16 to like really fit in. And I remember in those initial days even actually going back to mom and being like, please don't give me like dal rice, I don't want to deal with it, you just give me like a sandwich, etc. And I think at that time I kind of eventually forgot about it, but it kind of that experience stays with you to the extent of like ultimately I came to almost as a teenager end up loving like the weird kind of radioactive orange butter chicken you get over here. Um, and it took going back to India. So I moved back to India when I was married. So it took going back there to actually realize that whatever we are serving here as butter chicken, as most of us know, is not anything like you get in India. Like, I mean, I already knew that. I remember as a kid, hardly ever having eaten butter chicken as a thing. But even to go back like in 2012 and not really eat butter chicken in India, because it's not really that big a deal, like, and most importantly, that it doesn't taste anything like the Kiwi butter chicken. So I think that kind of those memories have really always stayed with me. And then when I moved back to New Zealand in 2019 with my husband and my kids, I had just come back. In my time in India, I'd had a food blog, so I'd spent a lot of time, kind of researching and learning more about regional Indian food. And I had a catering business where we used to do home style Indian food, home style Indian and as well as international food. We used to do that. So as a result of that work, I'd kind of learned much more about Indian food in that journey. And when I came here, I noticed that like the New Zealand food scene had gotten really diverse. Like a lot of people knew about, like say Thai versus Vietnamese versus Cantonese food, etc. Like people are kind of understanding, even when it comes to like a Mexican food, they'll know that it's Tex-Mex versus this. But when it comes to Indian food, even in like 2019, people were still just talking about chicken tikka masala, butter chicken, and the newest one though is sag, which is like palak paneer. And I was just really disappointed, I guess, that like, this knowledge hadn't really evolved beyond these kind of handful of 4 or 5 dishes. And I sat with that for a while, and I realized that part of it is because it's part of a problem, I guess, on our front that we need to solve, because no one is like, change is not going to happen unless you educate someone on what is available, what else is available, right? And as it comes with learning anything new, you're only going to try something new if it's easy. So that was like the second realization that came for me, because as a new mom myself and someone who had just set up a new house in New Zealand in a new country, I was going through this phase as well where cooking dinner every night was just not possible. So I would make these like masala pastes like we normally do, like Indians will normally have 2-3 spice blends that you keep and you make in the fridge so that making dinner during the week becomes easy. And so I think that was when that inspiration struck of like, hey, I could actually put these two things together. This realization of like, it has to be easy and that you have to teach people that there is like this whole amazing world out there of other things that they could be eating. And the realization that like, yeah, it had to still be easy and it still had to be versatile, because no Kiwi is just going to have curry 5 times a week like maybe, like an Indian would. And obviously, even we don't eat curry 5 times a week. We have 5 different things that are Indian. So I guess that is a long-winded story about how I started, but I wanted to share because it's a part of our mission, because I want that when my kids go to school and when they're teenagers, so when my sons are teenagers, they can proudly take, aloo bhaji and take that butter chicken. I mean, not butter chicken. Sorry, take aloo bhaji or take whatever it is that they're eating at home. If that's what they like, if that's what they want to take to lunch, they can take it and not feel like they have to explain themselves to people that this is not curry and this is not butter chicken. So that's like a really part of our vision of why I started this. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing that story. And like I mentioned at the start, I think there are a lot of people out there who want to introduce more food, who want to, like, every time we go out to a restaurant with our Indian friends and as well as our local friends, we're just like, oh yeah, you're out there giving recommendations where you're just like, oh, you should try this, you should try chaat, or you should try dosa, and this is what it's made up of. So I think it's a really good way of sort of approaching the educational aspect of it as well, that you're doing with Dolly Mama. And I understand that, so you set up the business in October last year. So congratulations on your anniversary. And you did this during the pandemic and during the lockdown. So has that played a significant role in, how the business has grown, or how your idea has developed as well?
I would say yes. It's played a great role, because I think launching a business in the pandemic has been a really good thing and a really bad thing in both ways. I swing it in the two extremes. I would say, like, every week, if not every day. Some of the really great things have come. That launching in October meant that the audience and our customers had this newfound appreciation of what small businesses bring to the table. I think in New Zealand has always been a country that celebrates its small entrepreneurs and small businesses, because so many of Kiwis have small businesses, but that's even more so now, and people are really kind of understanding that it's really tough to have a small business. And so it's been great to have that support right from the first day. What has obviously not played out so well has been, initially when we launched, there was the farmers markets that were there last year, and things like that. So, but it's the uncertainty of you just never know when you're going to get into lockdown. That already happened for us in March, last year, I think. March this year. And, it just happened in the space of before you can plan anything, before you can do anything, it just kind of happened. So that kind of dealing with that uncertainty can be tough. But I also feel that each time some new development happens in the pandemic, we learn something new about ourselves. So I'm choosing to see this as a positive development and something that we learn from. For example, with this lockdown, we just leaned right into doing all the things that I was postponing. I had procrastinated on setting up a email list and building up a community, and we had procrastinated on really focusing on the online side of things. And with the new lockdown happening, it just pushed us right into that territory and made sure that we just got it done because you had to. And the other great thing that's come out of this current lockdown is the launch of our online cooking classes, which has been on my mind for so long. In fact, when I bought this house primarily because the kitchen was good to do cooking classes. And that was 2 years ago. And I had still not launched the classes because I was just, I don't know, there's always something else to do. And then this lockdown hit and it was no, we just had to, you have to reinvent yourself. So I think in that sense, it's been great. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about as well, was the online classes. All of us have, throughout the lockdown, we've all turned to online for either looking at YouTube recipes or trying to cook something different each week. I know this lockdown for myself, I'm pretty tired of trying to cook something different every single day. During the level 4 lockdown, I was just out of ideas, and that was the first time that I moved to looking at, like Indian YouTube channels to inspiration to try and create something new. And I think that this is where your online classes would have also sort of helped a lot of people come up with new ideas or come up with different ways of approaching Indian food and Indian recipes. So if you can just give us a bit of a glimpse as to what these online classes are about and how have you used it. Because we talked about the awareness aspect and we talked about the educational aspect. So how have you sort of incorporated that within this as well?
So yeah, definitely. So originally the online classes was, I remember, I think 17th August was when the lockdown kind of announcement happened. And I was just like, oh crap, we're not going to be able to do markets. At that time, we didn't really know. It was just like a 3-day thing. So it was like, oh, we just need to like figure it out for this week. And so I thought, why not do like an online cooking class? And had to figure out like the technology but really quickly and all that kind of stuff. So our first couple of classes were like free classes, and we did them on, I think we did one on dosas and we did something else. And then I realized that this could be a real thing. Like this is actually a real need because people were just really joining. And like you said, like, they were tired of cooking the same things. But it's also a great way of really connecting and sharing your love for the food. Like for me, food always becomes special when you share a story behind it, right? Like I feel that is what makes our granny's food more delicious, right? Like that is why our product is called Dolly Mama. It's named after my grandmother Dolly. I loved her curry, and having her photo on our bottles is like a daily reminder for me to like, put like that love in it, like my mama would.
That's a good. Yeah.
And
Sorry, yeah.
yeah, but it's the stories that makes it special, and that travels through in our classes because actually, as we all know, if we cook Indian food at home, cooking Indian food is not hard, but it can be intimidating because of all the spices that are there. Like if you are new to the Indian cuisine and you just walk into an Indian shop, there's so many spices and so many jars, you have no idea what to buy, etc. So these classes were designed to be like a gentle way to like introduce people into the world of it. So it's like about breaking down, like we don't share recipes in our classes. Like I'll cook something completely from scratch. And in the first couple of ones, we shared written recipes. But then I realized that, we had to be comfortable in that. And does your mom share a recipe with you? Like, have you called her and does she ever share a recipe? No, she will give you like a list of ingredients. She'll say, get $1 coriander, get little this, put 2 teaspoons of this. It doesn't matter if her teaspoon is this size and your teaspoon is that size. So I really wanted to embrace that though, because I feel like I often joke about this in my classes that, I've turned into my mother. But it's true, like, because Indian food is very much about cooking with all your senses. It's about smelling the aroma. Like, in our classes last week, I made a joke because we were making curry masala. Sorry, not curry masala. We were making like coriander cumin powder. So we were roasting the coriander seeds and cumin seeds to make the powder. And on the class, I was like, oh, like if you could smell it here, like my mom would always just she would never tell me how long to cook it for. She'd just be like, when the smell reaches the kitchen, then that is the time to close the stove. Like what is, it used to really frustrate me as a 21-year-old.
Yeah,
like,
and how do you
hell is this? Like, what does that mean? Like 1 minute,
how
2
do you
minutes, 3
explain
minutes?
this to someone, right? Like how do you tell people that this is the stage? But it's like it's something that comes across through experience, and I can totally hear my mom saying this to me right now. But yes, I'm with you.
So that is what the classes are about. Like the classes are about helping our audience understand that it's okay to cook. Not okay, but like in fact to celebrate cooking with all your senses. So that's what I share with them as well. So it's more about sharing the technique and getting rid of the like the fear that comes with sometimes like, oh, I don't know what to do with the spices, etc. And so that's something that the classes are meant to do, with like from the educational perspective of it. And then what we also do is we actually sell a masala dabba on our Dolly Mama store. So people who joined our classes, actually it was their idea because they love the steel dabba that I have in my house. And I actually fill it up with the spices that they want. So you can customize your dabba based on what you'd like. So, you can just we customize and put whatever 7 spices you want and send it to your house. And then you can begin the journey into Indian food at that time. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's actually quite awesome. And I remember that when I moved here after getting married, I one of the things that my mom did was give me that steel dabba. She's like, no, you will need this in life because I moved
Isn't
here.
it? My mom
Yeah.
gave it to me when I went on an exchange trip to Canada. So this was when I was
Ooh, that's
19
very
and I was
smart.
going on my first international exchange and she like packed this masala dabba. And I was just like, Mom, like I don't need a masala dabba.
Yeah.
And she was just like, no, you will need it. You will get really homesick, etc.
Yeah.
And then I did. I like was feeling really homesick, and I opened up the dabba and just like smelt, and it was all the smells of home, and it was such an easy way. It just, again, it's all about making it easy and making the food accessible, because if you do that, if you make it easy, if you show the techniques,
Yeah.
then it's easy to do it. So yeah, that's what we're all about.
Oh, that's wonderful. And now, so I have one last question for you. And so, as a fellow Mumbaikar, we've both of us have previously spoken about our shared love for dosa and shared love for dosa and matanga, so to speak. What are some of the other Indian cuisines? And I know as a foodie, this is like making you choose who's your favorite child. But like, as what are some of the other Indian cuisines that you want people to try more of?
I think it's, yeah, you are making this really hard. Good. um, I would say that if there's one, obviously that's close to my heart is Parsi food. So I would love to get there. And I mean, that is what I'm a Parsi, so I've blogged about Parsi food. But I feel like we're a little bit ahead of our times if we are trying to pick up specific cuisine. For me, I feel like I would just be happy with people being able to, I guess, do everyday Indian food. Like for me, that is what it is. Like, if we can show them that there is more than one type of curry and more than one type of dal, then for me, that is like success.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you taking me on this journey of Indian food and as well as Dolly Mama with you.
Thank you.
And I look forward to going out and having conversations with people which are beyond butter chicken. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Preeti. It's been lovely having you, talking to you, and yeah, look forward to catching up again.
Thank you. Bye.